Wow,
It's so weird hearing yourself. I don't like it.
it is.
He's good. Yeah, probably like 3 inches or so from your face. Yeah, good. You good?
I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah.
How's it going? I know it's first day setups, all that stuff. You have a bunch of meetings. What's that like for someone like you to show up to something like this and have that on the first day?
It's crazy. It's a little bit like a reunion every time we show up at a trade show like this. So it's a lot of fun to see your friends. That's the great thing about this job. Yeah, I get to go to work with my best friends every day.
Yeah.
I get to go see them at trade shows.
Yeah, we were just talking about that too. Like for me, um, I've met so many friends in the industry that it's like coming to shows is the only time I ever get to see them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they're all in their own shops. We talk through text, whatever, but coming to a trade show is the one time we all get to hang out together. So, yeah, it's super awesome, super fun. You guys have a massive booth this year, which is pretty sweet. Can you tell me a little bit about what's here?
Gosh, a lot of new equipment and some of the old classic stuff. We always proud of having the retro gauntlet. I think it's from '89 or something like that, somewhere in the booth to show the, how.
Where you came from?
Yeah, exactly. You got to go back in time and look and build a really good piece of equipment, and that machine still runs and it's been in a lot of shops and a lot of places. So we take it to shows from time to time. That's probably my favorite piece.
Is that the one from the show, from the office, from the main?
Yeah, it's the one that we have in the lobby
Yeah, yeah.
downstairs. Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then you had what, a G4 over here,
Yep.
and then it's all Quattro and everything else new over in this side over here, right?
Yeah, a lot of new stuff. The orbiter is DTF has become a huge part of our business. I mean, just a massive part of our business. It was just 2 years ago at this trade show, it was in Atlanta that year, that we launched our Quattro.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was the DTF machine. And we didn't know what to expect exactly. We just knew we were going to do our very best and make sure we brought things that we thought, were missing in some of the other platforms, especially the service and support behind it. And now if I told you the percentage of our business is tied to DTF, it would shock you.
Yeah.
It would shock me. It exceeds our wildest expectations with regard to the success we've had. And so it's great. Now we've got accompanying, pieces of equipment and, cutters. We have a cutter X and a XY cutter that.
And there's multiple versions of that too, right? There's kind of like a startup version and then more of like a pro setup.
There is, yeah. We have the X, which is kind of only a horizontal sort of cutting device, and then we have the XY that does both. It's a little bit more automated. It's a flat
Right.
bed sort of a technology that we use it for cutting. And now we have this orbiter, which is the accelerated sort of automated heat press
Right.
station.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been working on that for actually a few years, in fact, but we just brought it to market. And this is, I think, the first trade show we're actually displaying it. I think we did Atlantic City earlier this year with a version of it, the prototype. But now we actually have the product. So, yeah, that's really cool. And a lot of demand for these things. So it's amazing how this industry has, morphed and changed and continues to change. And DTF is just a big example of, how it changes.
Yeah, we were just over there talking about it too, and I know a few shops who have basically kind of like closed the doors to screen printing and then kind of embodied taking in like the Quattro and then getting the whole, the orbiter and the cutter and everything else, and kind of if it fits their market, you know what I mean? If they're in a certain piece range and whatever, it might be better for them to go that route or have both or whatever. But is that what you're starting to see? Is more and more people getting it as a whole kit rather than just like, oh, I want to make my own DTF for my shop? Or are they transforming into having almost like two divisions of their shop where it's screen printing over here and digital department over here that has everything?
I think it's all of the above, and it depends on the company itself. We have some companies that we do business with that are just predominantly all DTF.
Right.
And, they aren't particularly good screen printers. They don't know enough about the screen print side. That their entry point was digital. And we've got a number of those customers now that are actually exploring screen print. So it's kind of good doing this
Right.
full cycle thing, which is really cool to see because I love screen print. And I'm not ashamed to call it out. That's the thing that fed my family for many years and continues to do so today. Screen is a big deal to me, and it's a great way to decorate a piece of apparel. But the way that people segment and set up their shops is unique to their type of business, what they want to cater to. More often than not, though, you don't really want to blend a lot of your screen department with digital unless it's absolutely necessary. Most of the people cordon it off. It's a different sort of animal. Requires some different understanding and skill set.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you kind of said it right too. Is it's based on how they got into it and how they started. And there are all these people that when DTF first came out were like in a garage and they were like, okay, I'm gonna order this from somebody else, or I'm gonna buy this hodgepodge printer system cutter thing. And then now they can go to a company like MNR that they trust and get like the whole package system where they have the service, the support, the supplies, everything like that. It's a lot less sketchy, I guess you could say.
No, completely. And we're seeing that with the type of customers that are buying it now. I mean, when it really got its, legs, just post pandemic is really my recollection.
Yeah.
And you started seeing it at some of the smaller shops, right? And it starts to come on and started becoming a thing. Now this is an institutional product. So your big major shops are really diving in hard into DTF because it's got some stickiness to it now. I mean, it's going to hang around. It's not something that's just going to flash. And
well, the thing is it's different too, because when it first came out, it was looked at by printers as a tool of like, oh, cool, I can offer little to no minimums, or I can do these high color count, low piece count things. But now it's getting so known in the marketplace that people are coming to shops and asking for it specifically. Like we were just talking about that over there where I had, a like comic book shop that wanted this like 18 color print, and they specifically requested DTF, even though it was 500 to 1,000 pieces. That's what they wanted. That's what they saw. They liked how it looked. They liked how it wasn't going to have to be all halftones and everything else. They liked how it could be smooth and everything's a gradient and whatever else. So now that it's being asked for, you guys have this need to, fulfill that side of the market of like, we got to, make sure that our customers have something they can rely on and trust that's going to do that job for them.
100%. That is exactly right. We actually mentioned that in one of our earlier meetings today with our sales team is that, I was somewhat surprised and almost expected maybe some rejection at the higher end brand level, rejecting, the transfer piece of that.
Right.
And now it's more of a desirous look for some of these brands. They're actually, that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
It's certainly been accepted by the consumer. And that's why I said this thing has legs. It's going to run, for, many, many years, I'm sure.
And that's the thing too, is it's not just, smaller brands coming up with this kind of thing or using it. Like, and now you can go to any store in the mall, you can go to the Van store, you can go to PacSun or whatever else, or go to Disney World or something and see DTF prints on products. So it's accepted by some of these large brands.
Yep, it is. Yep, it's everywhere,
Yeah.
and it's so versatile. I mean, the reject rates that happen with DTF are substantially lower than that of DTG. Many customers tell us that, and it also works on a number of different substrates where DTG is a little bit more limited.
Right.
Again, not to sell out DTG, but it is distinctly different. It's not one or the other. It's both.
Mm-hmm. It's just good for all those problem areas too, like in sleeves or a hood or, on a pocket or something. It's a new tool for that whole thing. But I know we talk a lot about the digital side of things, and I know that's kind of like what's flashy and new here, but also too shiny new, and one of the best looking piece of equipment I've seen is the G4.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about screen and what you guys have new and what's going on. And
well, our class of equipment, starting with the Diamondback, going to Sportsman, going to Cobra, and then the G4 is really kind of the elite,
right.
high-end machine for us. Speed and durability, those things are amazing, and powerful devices. And now, what we're doing is developing, ancillary sort of product that goes with those to complement them. So, many people are aware that the Passport is a thing, and it's been out there for many, many years. A lot of people think it's more futuristic or more recent, but the Passport has been out for 20 years.
Right, yeah.
But we are developing new technologies around enhancing the Passport, making it a little bit more versatile than where it is today. And so those are some projects that are ongoing that you really won't see at this show, but we do have Passports here. But we have the image capture system. That's something that we previewed in the past. We is a technology preview at some trade shows. We went out in the marketplace, found beta sites. This is one of the great reasons that we have beta sites is that when we got into the beta, we noticed there were a number of sort of problems with image capture that we had to pull back. For instance, lighting or shadows in the shop would change.
Right.
the
Every
appearance on
shop's
the ground.
different as
Yeah.
far as how it's lit.
So we had to go back and make some tweaks. Now we're proud to say that it's ready to go. We've gone in and had another 6-month session with some beta sites, validated that the technology is now ready for release, and we're releasing it at the show today officially, the ICS system. So
Nice.
that's a complementary piece on the screen side. It'll actually work in the digital element as well, but you'll see that also affixed to passports and also affixed to the press itself if you don't have a passport.
Right. Yeah. That's what I've seen it mostly on, is the press itself. And that was kind of cool too. Like a little while ago, we were talking about when all this, everybody was talking about digital and DTF and all these other things. It's kind of like, well, a screen printing press is essentially doing, even if you guys keep coming up with new presses and, any brand comes up with a new press, it's kind of like, well, you're still pulling ink through a screen and putting it on a shirt. And it's like, how much does this thing evolve? But then now you guys are adding cool things to the press, like the image capture, where it's, it's kind of like helping people basically, where you get into that flow state of, all right, I've already loaded 200 shirts and the puller's pulled 200 shirts. There's no way that puller is looking at every shirt the way that it was looking at the first 5 to see, is this in registration? Is there a pinhole? Is there an issue? So now it's eliminating a lot of those errors that you might not know even occur until a customer gets it and then they complain and it's a whole thing. So you're eliminating that. Is there anything else new into a press that you guys are adding as far as maybe like AI or software that's kind of like helping people get data and stuff on how things are run?
We are, yeah. We have a management program basically that we are able to track data from machines, right? And we've got that. We've previewed that in the past at trade shows. We are working with AI and the analytics piece of this now, and also a variety of measures to make the machinery more intuitive. I guess our goal here ultimately is, today you have to spend a fair amount of time training an operator how to run the machine.
Right.
We're not that far away from the machine teaching the operator how to run it. And when there's a failure or a problem or even an anticipated problem based on, projected sort of analytics, right, that it could say the machine is likely going to have a failure in this area at some point in the next 3 months. We can get it down to that fine. And then now we're actually contributing, the machine itself is actually contributing to the operator. The idea is, and a lot of this originated from the fact that the industry has become so seasonal with the just-in-time sort of nature of it, minimizing stock, bringing it in just in time, getting it decorated just in time, getting that unit or those units out just in time, that the seasonality of the marketplace has gone from, well, the busy season clearly is usually the last couple months of the year now, with digital in particular, for holiday. And so we have customers that have to scale up in a massive way with a lot of employees for a very short window of time.
Right.
And then what do you do after the beginning of the year? So it makes it really challenging. So the more we can automate the systems, the better it's going to be to smooth that out for our customers.
Right, for the owners. Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else new that's on the horizon for you guys that you can talk about, or?
Yeah, we do have a bot basically, or chat bot kind of or a voice command sort of program that's in the works, and there are others that are out there. If you have Alexa at home, you got
print these shirts so I can stay home today.
Exactly. We're not far away from having that technology. I think in some cases people actually are playing around with that today. We have to be careful that what we do is also safe.
Right.
If you're talking about voice commands, how do you discipline those commands to a point where it isn't going to injure someone? And so we're taking all the necessary steps to make sure, these are very powerful devices and people can get hurt. So we want to make sure we just test everything thoroughly before we go to market, as opposed to race to market to be first.
Right.
Yeah. So
you guys are also kind of bringing back a classic. Like I see, the Saturn, or you got some of the new flat stock stuff.
That's been, that was really a fun thing about 2025. The year's been interesting, right? Tariffs have created all sorts of drama. There's lots of storylines that happen in our industry, and this has been a really eventful year. But one of the things that, quite frankly, we didn't fully anticipate was the significant rise in demand for graphic screen equipment again. So we just recently, and there's a video out on this, where we just now manufactured an Insignia We hadn't sold one in years and years and years. Now all of a sudden we're having demand for insignias. We've got orders for processors in place now, and potentially more processors to be
What
ordered.
kind of customer is getting that though? Because that
These-
thing's a monster.
It is huge. In fact, we had to bring in extra power just to fire up the insignia that we built. I mean, so this is just incredible workmanship. And we had a lot of our old guard, guys that have stepped away, retired. We called them, so
You had to bring 'em back
We
in.
had to bring some of these guys back because so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
of this is like tribal knowledge.
Right.
We have it very well documented now, but a lot of these guys came back and spent hours and loved it. It was it was a project that they loved being a part of, and we've now shipped that machine, and we've got more. We've got Renegades that are out there, these flatbed presses that we have are in place. We've got Vitrans that are now going to be coming back, which are basically your dryers. And there's some discussion about how do we advance that technology to incorporate LED and other sorts of technologies in the graphic screen category, which we all gave up for dead. Not completely.
Now, do you think
Yeah.
it's worth putting into, I don't want to say worth, might be the wrong word, but like some of these things, I feel when I saw that resurgence was kind of like, for me, it's like records. Like there's a lot of people popping up in the record industry that are actually putting out vinyls again because it became so popular and it was sought after and all these other things. And I'm seeing stuff like this where I'm like, oh, is this because people want it to be the way that it was, like almost like the vintage way of creating these things? And it's got a demand for it being, touched, and it's not everything's digital. It's more worth the human craftsmanship, where you maybe leave it the way it is because that's what people want, or do you think it's something to, hey, let's make this more and more user friendly and up to date?
Yeah, I wish it were something more nostalgic.
Yeah.
But I think it's very practical. It's a business choice. There's still many programs out there that require the graphic to be printed, screen printed. In contractually, it's obligated that that this has to be provided. And so there's a number of processors and insignias out there that are still have been running for decades, and they're starting to time out. Is really what a lot of this has to do with. In most cases, it's somebody who's had a processor, operated it for years, or an insignia, and now it's just getting a little long in the tooth 20-some years later, and it's time to,
So you're going to give them like a really nice upgrade, basically.
Yeah, there'll be some enhancements as we go, and in many cases, these things are so, impressive that they are a little bit customized, right. For the individual shop or company that's operating it. So we work very closely with their engineering team, our engineering team, to make sure that we're building what it is exactly that they need, and then we go to work on it.
Okay. Lastly, one thing I wanted to touch on too is I feel like over the last couple of years, big things were with kind of hybrid printing and all of that. Like, where does that stand now? Is that kind of in its own thing where it's better off and enhanced, or is it kind of in this weird middle ground?
To be perfectly honest, it is an underutilized tool. There are not enough printers, quite frankly, in my opinion, my humble opinion about this, are tapping into hybrid technologies because it's so versatile. I always describe it as, the most underutilized weapon, in the marketplace, but it still isn't getting, massive traction. People either want to be digital or they want to be screen, and the blend of the two has been a little bit complicated, but it's also confined to the type of ink. Digital squeegee is really best weaponized when it's printed with water base. Right. And so there's still a lot of guys out there that print plastisol, and to date, there's really not a plastisol that works very well with this sort of technology, blended technologies. If there was a code that could be cracked on the plastisol side to allow it to receive, I think that there'd be a resurgence and interest in it. But right now, teaching people how to print water base in general throughout my whole career has been a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, but I think it's also one of those things too, is like if you want to get into that side of things, if you want to get into that piece and get the benefits of it and the profits of it, learn that. Yeah. Learn the water-based side of it. And it's funny too, I did a shirt show with Sean Kirkpatrick where he's a little bit biased because he has digital squeegees.
And he's good at it.
Yeah, really. And he made a good point that I never really saw the side of, is he seems to think that it just hasn't had its day yet. Like he thinks that all these other things are kind of playing, screen printing's here and digital's here and whatever, but he's going to have this leg up because he's kind of in this middle road where he can do high output digital when people don't quite want that and they don't quite want screen printing. He has the leg up where all of a sudden it seems like, you go in that dark room, turn the machine on, and it's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm in the middle and I can do these high volume runs faster than maybe digital and faster than screen printing as far as setup times and labor and everything else.
Sean is 100% right.
Right.
I totally agree with everything you just said, and if you're parroting what he said, yeah, completely. It is underutilized, and maybe it hasn't seen its time yet. Maybe we're not doing a strong enough job or good enough job of really explaining how this thing can be weaponized. People like Sean do a great job of explaining it, but it is underutilized. It is an opportunity for those who really want to embrace it, and it is very versatile. You can go left or right or forward or up and down and backwards, basically, is the way I would describe it. It's so versatile. You can have the best in digital and screen. You could put the specialties along with digital, which is something that's not so easily done in a classic digital sense. And at some point when fashion really returns to special effects, which I do believe will happen, people get tired of the same look over and over again or slogans
Right.
in certain logos. But if you can enhance that with some sort of a relief, whether it be simple as puff or reflectives and high densities and the likes, you can combo this with the digital squeegee more so than you can with anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything new with Polaris?
Yeah, actually, there are new enhancements going along with Polaris. So we have, this S4 technology, which we launched a year ago at Print United in Las Vegas last year. Really gave us a leg up in the digital space where we can actually individually pre-treat just as you would, actually print dot for dot. This is shape for shape, but you can put the pre-treat down and right
So
over
the pre-treat is basically being printed in the area of the actual print instead of a giant rectangle.
Yeah, exactly. And so the dreaded box is what the
Right.
way our guys refer to it is you basically have this big, rectangular shaped sort of box where you just spray it with pre-treat. And in some colorways, certain colors, it shows. Yeah. So we got ways to demonstrate and show that. And that's a big deal when you're dealing with some of the big brands.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
a lot of the big brands have embraced the Polaris where they've kind of rejected other technologies because they can't really have that box on their garments. And when you're talking about some of these licensed programs, they're very particular about it. So we're very fortunate we have that technology.
Well, that's awesome to hear too, because I feel like a lot of people were going from screen and then seeing all this, hybrid stuff come along and the Polaris and digital and everything else. And then DTF came along and it was like, all right, cool. Well, I don't have to worry about pre-treat.
Yeah.
Like everybody's nightmare in the digital space was pre-treat. So now you're finding ways to kind of make pre-treat work where it isn't quite as much of a nightmare.
It's not nearly as much of a nightmare. I mean, the head technology that Czar provides us, that's our partner with the head technology out of the UK, and they're great people. Those heads are the most durable thing I've ever seen with regard to, inkjet. And so they can handle, something as difficult as pre-treat is, and you don't have the clogging of the heads and all the other problems that inherently would come along with that, even with white ink. And we are working with new technologies now to develop a similar device for jetting white ink for the Polaris as well, and that'll be coming out soon.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add, Danny, before I let you go and go do all the things that you do?
Get to go hang out with my best friends again. No, you listen, just shout out to you and all of you guys. The education platform that you bring up, I mean, I watch your podcast all the time. I don't watch a lot of them, but I watch yours.
Man.
And it's easy to do that, though. You're always fun. I usually get a laugh or two out of it as well, so there's a little comic relief in it. But no, I just really appreciate what you guys do, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being a big supporter of the industry.
Yeah.
And secondarily, M&R within the industry, but you got to pick the right horse to ride, and we like the fact that you're with us. So.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man.
All right, man. Appreciate
you. See ya.
All right, buddy.
Broad eyes.